Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with the main event, the final series of RLIS Season 6. We've seen already a good series earlier today with the Celtic Tigers taking down the Banshees in Shooting Star, and now we have the Celtic Tigers making another appearance, this time in the highest tier of RLIS, in Superstar, and they're going to be facing off against the High Kings. I've got Jacko alongside me, and this is going to be such an exciting series.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking at the teams, we've got the High Kings, we've got Tomster, you know, previous Slovene series winner, Canusa, the Norwegian superstar himself. I've got D Lynch subbing in, of course, who is playing on, of course, his own team in the All Star level. Ghost is not going to be playing, of course, today. And then we've got the Celtic Tigers. We've got Trace, we've got Mayday, and we've got Jo. And whereas when we casted, back in week 2, we saw Celtic Tigers play. We knew how good they were back then, and it is no surprise to me, that they're here in this final. Looking at the league play standings, 24.5 points, only a point 5 points, behind the Irish Wolfhounds who finish on top. And, they did trio them, in terms of league play. And of course, they go up against the Celtic Tigers. They're going against the High Kings, who had a 7-8 win loss ratio. They lost more games, so it's going to be a really interesting combination, especially a really interesting combination in terms of D Lynch. We saw him. He was in the final, of course, of All Star, but he's a household name. We all know him, of course, on the staff team as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see how he slots into that team alongside Tomster and Canusa.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, get your predictions in the chat with those channel points because this series is a real toss-up. I'm just hearing that it may actually be Ghost that has actually shown up at the last moment. That's a developing thing, but it's going to be a really, really intriguing series to see how this one evolves. Obviously, with Trace for the Celtic Tigers, arguably the top player in all of RLIS. And we're going to have to see how the Norwegian superstar of Knutha can really play up to that level. And it's going to be a really interesting dynamic. Obviously, we can see the league play standings. The Celtic Tigers got the best of the High Kings at that stage, but it was very, very close when they played up against each other in league play. And Jacko, this series could really go either way.
Yeah, it really could, and we've got such massive caliber. We're at Superstar. We've got the prize pool, €195 on the line here. But each team has players of such caliber, such they've got trophies in the back. We've got obviously Tomser, Shaveen series winner, Trace, massive name, massive ranked player. We've seen him on big streams, BS Plus competition streams. Always on leaderboards. He's a huge name player alongside playing, of course, with Mayday. Massive name in the Irish scene, and Jo, of course, too. So it's going to be really interesting to see, and we have seen before, how well those players link up. And it's also going to be really interesting to see the High Kings team, which seems to be at some points, at their best, a bit all over the place. Ghost isn't playing sometimes. It was meant to be Parable, and now it's D Lynch, and it could possibly be Ghost again. So it'd be really interesting to see, how this team does work. And the High Kings have made it to the finals. They may have had a rocky road there, but they're here, and they're here to prove that they deserve to be here.
Yeah, there's nothing like some last-minute change. I can now confirm that it is going to be my Parable subbing in for Ghost in this grand final. So we're going to be seeing Knutha Tomster and my Parable as the roster playing for the High Kings tonight. And I think a player that I'd really like to highlight going into this one is Mayday, one of the most experienced players in RLI. He's played lots of lands, a previous RLIS winner back on my team in Season 3. He's won it all and he's looking to add to his trophy cabinet tonight, and he's really going to be a player to look out for to maybe step up in this pressurized environment.
Yeah, I mean, Parable, it's interesting to see that he's slotting in. Great household player as well, especially when it comes to, competitions himself. Previous ICE winner, of course, in terms of, Irish Collegiate Esports. So here we go. We're getting ready to go. And the High Kings, they're here. They've got Parable in. So D Lynch is not going to be playing, but Parable in, of course, also on that All-Star team playing alongside D Lynch, who did lose in their final. But here we go. SSL tournament tags on, GC winner tournament tags on. Here we go, and we're about to start here, Res.
Series has begun, a best of 7 to decide who takes the €195 prize pool. Is Mayday trying to start things off quickly, but it's cleared away by Tomster. Now Trace with a little bit of work to do as the ball's played across the field. Coming off the backboard from my Parable. Is anyone going to be able to follow up a tensive start and Trace with a little bit of a mistake there, but it does fall kindly to Mayday. Knutha drops into the middle. It's going to be a race to the ball, but it's enough for Trace in the end. Jo with a miss, and Jacko, the series started off with a couple of little difficult touches for these two sides.
Absolutely, we're in the feeling out process. You know, it is the first game in a long series, and it could go really quick, or it could go all the way to that game 7. Teams need to make sure they minimize mistakes, and especially at this level, you know, you can't really, excuse some mistakes like backflipping or double committing. These teams need to have mastered their play, mastered the communication. They're in the finals, and appears here. What a shot there by Trace! Hits it in. The man himself, the arguably best player, on the field right now, hits it in. Unlucky for Knutson not to get that read, but Trace hits that one in directly into the middle. Parable unable to make contact, and Trace puts the Celtic Tigers here ahead of the 3v3.
Yeah, and a really nice play by Trace getting up early on and missed by Knutson. He's going to be kicking himself for that one because one goal is so important. Getting that first goal of the series can really dictate the momentum. Now Parable trying to force it into the corner as Trace gets it clear. He's going to stay with the ball, and that's something he's really good at, just getting an extra touch on the ball to get it past another player. And it seems that while everyone else on the field can only take out one player at a time, Trace can sometimes take out 2 or 3. Instead, having to do a little bit of defense for now. It's cleared away. Parable may be able to take a shot. He rips one off, but it's just one to the post. Now Thompson up. Can he put it in? It's off the crossbar. And Jaya with a miss, but Parable didn't expect it. And Mayday eventually gets it clear. Really close for the High Kings, but unable to get the goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Thompson was up for a long time for that. Unlucky to make contact, quite like Trace, who did eventually get contact with it on his goal here, but so far seems to be quite more back and forward now. The High Kings seem to have minimized their mistakes. They're definitely trying to work some plays, especially in that mid area. We see Parable up there for the ball. Thompson might be cut out here. It will be. Trace hits it in his second goal, and here we go now. The Celtic Tigers 2-0 up here, taking advantage of that overcommit by the High Kings, and Trace adding his second goal to his tally, and it's definitely the second, Benny.
Yeah, Trace has done well to get his second there, and slight miscommunication from the High Kings with my Parable pushing up a bit too far when his teammates weren't behind him. But there is still plenty of time left in this series to get back into it. It's Knutson making his way down the field with possession. Mayday unable to get a convincing clear. Parable puts it back off the back ball, but it's cleared out. Thompson dropping it into the midfield. Knutson could be here if he can get there in time. But it's just knocked away, and that's a poor touch by Parable. A little mistake as now shot can come up by Trace, almost getting his hat-trick already. But the save is made by Thompson. Now Jao putting a shot off the back ball. Mayday with the shot, and it's just touched away. But I just get the feeling, Jacko, that for the time being, the High Kings are really struggling to get it out of their own end.
Yeah, especially Trace here is playing so well. He's almost 300 points ahead of his counterparts of Mayday and Jao is already on 44 points here. But the High Kings seem to be in their defense a lot. They're working a lot of plays in the mid area, on the Celtic Tigers side here. But the Celtic Tigers are the team scoring, and especially they're capitalizing on the mistakes of the High Kings. A big demo here by Jao, and we're going to probably see a lot of those here as Trace tries to slot that one in here. Good save by Meyer Parable, but the Celtic Tigers, the offense is rapid, and there we go, adding the third to the tally. Big demo by Mayday, and Jao gets his first on the board, increases his points from a low 44 up to 170, and here we go, Celtic Tigers 3-0 up.
I hate to say it, but Parable is seeming a little bit out of the depths for the time being. He hasn't had a good start to the series in this first game. He's been at fault for a couple of the goals that they've conceded, and now they're in a really tough position as Mayday looking to add to their tally. But Parable is able to get it clear on that occasion. Now Jao looking for an infield pass, but Knutson can pick it up, and this may be a case of damage limitation in this first game for the High Kings. They don't want to get battered too hard because it is a long series, and getting hammered early on can really affect your mentality. It's Mayday going to hit that one high, looking for the backboard, but Thompson gets there first. Now Knutson trying to transition forward and get a goal back for this High King side. Thompson with the ball on the tip of his car, but it's knocked away by Mayday. Now Parable trying to keep the move going, but it's just slowed down, and this defensive brick wall of the Celtic Tigers is holding strong for now. Knutson looking to drop it into the midfield. Knocked away as Trace making his way back, able to get a clear, but there's no one there to follow it up. As Knutson chasing it back in, only 20 boosts to work with. Can get an infield pass here, but there's no teammates in the middle. And the ball is cleared away, and the situation is neutralised, Jacko.
Yeah, absolutely. The Celtic Tigers here, their offense is so dominant, and their defense is like a brick wall, unable to break through. Would be surprised now with the Castle Curse if the High Kings score here. No goal yet for them. But the Celtic Tigers are just playing so well all around. We know, especially the likes of Trace, such a dominant player, especially in 1v1, so we expect to see him going for a lot of plays. And that's the reason he has 2 goals on the board. But they're just defending so well. 3 saves for them, but also 4 saves for the High Kings. But the High Kings here have scored nothing, and they could be going into possibly the next series with no goals yet on the board. forward. But the Celtic Tigers are rotating so well. Great clear there by Mayday, but the High Kings here are struggling to make something.
Tomster, as we approach the final 30 seconds, unable to really create anything with that opportunity as Knutha is getting a little bit of pressure now to High Kings, but they haven't really been able to break through the defensive wall. Knutha putting the ball across. Who's going to get there first? It's going to be Tomster as it comes off the backboard. Is there a follow-up? Powerball gets there and they've got their goal. And that could be a big momentum shift going into the remainder of the series.
Yeah, it's going to be a big confidence booster for the High Kings, but also a massive confidence booster for my Parable. You know, you said earlier, lots of mistakes were kind of his. You know, he might be a bit of odds of death right now, but that goal is going to definitely increase his confidence a bit. And he's doing well, he's keeping up with the team, but so far here, Celtic Tigers are still dominating the play. It's only 10 seconds left for us here, and the Celtic Tigers are looking to win this one.
Yeah, the Celtic Tigers have got the first game of the series as we move into the twos next, and Tracy's going to complete his hat-trick on 0 seconds. A good performance by him, and he's really showing why he has led his team to the finals with an emphatic performance in this game. And now Jacko, moving on to 2v2 next. What do you think the teams will be doing with their selections? Could it be something, perhaps putting out your strongest lineups early on, or maybe being conservative and looking towards the rest of the series?
I think the Celtic Tigers, after that dominant performance, are looking to wrap things up early. They're not looking to drop any games, and as you said there, Trace finishing off with his hat-trick, 3 goals from 4 shots. He's on fire right now, and as you said, he's proving why he's led his team to the final. He's also proving why he is the best player on the field right now. And as you said, we're waiting for the 2v2 lineups, and then we'll be able to see, and as we see here now, we've got, of course, the iconic duo, that is Trace and Mayday against Tomster and Knutha. And, you know, when we casted this series, you know, ages ago, Res, we saw, you know, Trace and Mayday playing, and they have this nice dynamic where Trace is able to kind of, you know, push up and play like that, but Mayday also is able to sit back, you know, and allow Trace to do his plays and do his amazing mechanics. But we're walking in now to the 2v2. Thompson and Knutha, of course, you know, the 2 superstar players of the High Kings team will be going out first, and it's looking to be an interesting 2v2 lineup, but definitely Celtic Tigers putting their strongest foot forward.
Absolutely. Tomster and Knutha going to be really important for them to win this one because this is going to be their strongest 2v2 lineup by some stretch. Mayday and Trace a really, really strong duo, and they had some good results during the regular season when they played together. But this is an important yet very tough task for the High Kings because they don't want to be going 2 games down straight away in this series. As Tomster getting a bit of possession early on, got boost to work. May try and beat a couple of men here as Mayday makes the challenge and hits it over the sidewall. Knutha gets there first. Trace is up pre-jumping, but Knutha gets there. Knutha now looking for an aerial pitch. That's a fantastic play.
My God,
He's got the goal.
Unbelievable by Knutha. I saw him go up the wall and I was questioning what a recovery. Gets the flip off the ceiling. Unbelievable pinch through. And that is an unreal goal by Knutha. And that is going to be a huge confidence booster for the High Kings. Whereas that is a goal of unnatural talent. And here we go now. The High Kings need to keep this momentum. What a goal.
Absolutely fantastic stuff by Knutha, showing why he's such a high level, being able to adapt to those awkward scenarios on the ceiling. And he's been rewarded for it. Now Trace trying to get his team back into it. Thomas is unable to make the save and they've tied it up instantly.
Yeah, Trace, big player in the 1v1 scene, 2v2 as well. We always see queuing into massive, you know, pro players in his ranks as high as he is. And here we go, slotting it behind Tomster, unable to make contact with it, answers back straight away. But here we go now, 4 minutes and 28 seconds here. It seems to be Knutha and Trace so far dominating the play, but Tomster answers back exactly what they need for the High Kings, answering back straight away off of that kickoff. And here we go now, Res. It might be a game of really back and forward play here, but once one team here takes an advantage, once they can continue with that momentum, they can maybe run away with it.
And forth indeed, as we've seen 3 goals in the space of about 20 seconds of play. Now these players will be looking to try and settle into this one a bit more, but Trace, he doesn't want to settle down. He wants to tie the game yet again as Knutha forced to make a last-ditch save. Only just gets there, and that demo just a second ago has given Thompson a little bit of time to get it out of defence. Thompson now looking for a bump, but Trace able to collect the boost, but can't hold on to the ball for long. But Mayday, his teammate, is able to get it clear. Now look at Celtic Tigers looking to push down the field yet again. Trace into the infield, but Mayday is able to get around it. Tomster stuck on the wall, really awkward situation here for the High Kings. They need to try and get a big clear on this one. Thompson may be able to do it now with a high flick. He could try and put a shot on net here, but he's not able to. We're just only a minute into this game, Jacko, but things have been really feisty so far.
Game feels like it's been on for so long. The amount of goals, the amount of pressure so far here, but we're yet to see any real major play from Trace. We know he's so good at those solo plays. The best solo play in this game so far has been from Knut and that unbelievable goal by him. We see a lot of mid play here by the Celtic Tigers. We see Mayday pushing into the middle a lot and Trace passing. Something that I haven't seen too much before from that lineup. So that could be something that maybe the High Kings weren't expecting. The High Kings are defending well. They're also attacking quite well. So they're still leading here, but there's still plenty of the game to go.
Luther looking to try and double their lead, but not able to do so on this occasion. And that's a poor touch by Thompson. He's going to need to get something else on this. He just about does. Trace was bearing down on him. It's now Knuther moving forward. The only keyboard player left on either of these two teams. Tomster up on the side, trying to get the ball off Trace, and he will get there in the end on the backboard. But now, moving forward is Mayday. A really awkward touch for him, and Knuther gets it clear and approached the halfway mark. And the game has really slowed down from that opening 30 seconds.
Yeah, we've seen a lot slower pace. We're seeing a lot of attempted, passing plays from each team. We're also seeing, a lot of offense, but there's no real, almost urgency from each in the store. The High Kings don't want to push up too much and throw away their lead, because with players like Trace and Mayday, they can pull goals out of absolutely anywhere. Could be a doozy opportunity here for Trace. Doesn't make contact, no flip for him on this occasion. But the High Kings here are keeping it cool. They're slowing down the pace. They know that Trace has played at a very fast pace here. So Tomster and Knut are doing really well here. 2 minutes left and still leading, but it's still all to play for.
Tomster putting a shot on, it's going to find its way past Trace, and this would be a really surprising result if they can hold on to this. Trace and Mayday, they've been stunned a little bit in the first part of this game, as now they find themselves 2 goals behind with 2 minutes left on the clock to make it back.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been, they're putting their strongest foot forward here with Trace and Mayday, and if they're taken down here by Thompson and Knut, that's going to be a big rattle, especially we're going to be all level. Once again, the series will be back to 1-1. The Celtic Tigers will not be 2-0 up. We're seeing a lot of bump play here in the back. Mayday making contact with Tomster, but plenty of time for Tomster here to get back. Trace here with all the boosts in the world. Knut diving in, hits that into the left corner, but it seems to be quite well here by the High Kings, and as you said, it'll be a really interesting result if they do manage to pull this off, because they're playing really well, and they're, almost say that they're playing much better than the Celtic Tigers right now.
Yeah, this is much better Rocket League from the Celtic Tigers. It's going to get the touch onto the backboard. Mayday's been bumped out of the way, and it's 4-1. The High Kings firing on all cylinders, and the Celtic Tigers just can't seem to respond at the moment.
Yeah, it's unbelievable here. The High Kings are just so dominant in this, and we've casted twice Mayday and Trace playing in the 2v2s, and there's such a strong lineup. But here we go. Thompson and Knut is showing them that they're the best in the field today, and today is when it matters, Res, because after this, there's nothing else. And there we go, 5-1. Knut adds the 5th goal to the High Kings tally. They're just knocking them for fun now, Res, but there's still 1 minute 17 left. The High Kings just increasing that lead to ensure that they do get this win.
This is really going to stir up the series if they can hang on to this one, which it looks like they will. The High Kings, they put on a fairly okay showing in the first game, but it certainly wasn't convincing, but they've looked much better in this one. Going into the remainder of the series, despite Trace being on the other team, he can only play 1-1 series. So if they are able to win this, maybe get a 3s game later on, they could arguably get themselves in the position of actually being the favourite for this series. As now Knuther moving down the field, looking to make it 6, but the clear comes through by Mayday. As the final minute comes, it looks like there's no hope for the Celtic Tigers in this one. Yeah,
the High Kings are playing so well. It's a little to say here. It might be another one here. Oh, and it is. What a shot by Tomster. They're playing so well, and I thought from the 3v3 that they'd have some confidence, the Celtic Tigers, to go in and continue to win this here. But what a play. Hits it off the corner. Trace unable to read that, and it's a wonderful display here by the High Kings. Exactly when they need it. At the turning point here, it's going to be all level at the end of this. And as you said, they've only played Trace once, and if the Celtic Tigers had won this and Trace had won the 1v1, they'd be 3-0 up. That's not another one for the High Kings. But 6-1 here, they're on verge to get to Brazil.
Tomster looking to make it so, but Trace diving in, not having any of that, and that may just roll in. It's come off the backboard, and actually Trace has missed the follow-up. Now it could be 7-1 down the other end. Tomster looking for a bump, but it can't come through. 20 seconds left on the clock though, and that is going to be the game. As the Celtic Tigers shocked a little bit in the second one as we go into 1v1 in the next.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see in the 1v1, of course. We presume that they'll play Mayday, and there we go. There is the Brazil, and that is going to be a shock to the core of the Celtic Tigers. going to be such a huge confidence boost for the High Kings, going into that 1v1. And, if you're going up against a 1v1 against Trace, you know, you almost expect to go in and lose because of how good he is. But in this game, I thought that the lineup of Mayday and Trace would be quite dominant in this. But the High Kings have just made this look so easy and so simple. And that's going to rattle the players here now going into the next one, as finally the Brazil chance is gone as Mayday and Trace link up and get in their second goal of the series. But now, Rez, as you mentioned, we're moving on to the 1v1.
Yeah, this next game is going to be really interesting choice-wise. Obviously, you'd expect that Trace would beat anyone who comes up against. So, I think you've got to think of it a bit like this. Tomster and Knut at very similar level in that 1v1 environment. Whereas on the other side of things, Celtic Tigers, you've got Trace, who will probably beat everyone. Whereas on the other hand, I think Mayday may lose to either Tomster or Knutha. So this could really stir things up, depending on who the two teams choose. And it's going to be Trace against Tomster in the first Mons game. So both teams probably putting out their strongest 1v1 players in this. And you'd very, very much expect Trace to run away with this one.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of ranks, Thompson was SSL last season of ones, but Trace is just such of a high caliber in that 1v1 area. High 1500 1v1 player, top 100 leaderboard. It should be quite. It should be quite the challenge for Tomster, but after that 2v2, Tomster's going to be on flying form after dismantling the Celtic Tigers side here. But as you said, Trace should be able to take down anybody in his way. But if Tomster can take down Trace in this 1v1, it's going to be a massive upset.
Yeah, it would be a massive upset, but I think it would just be very unlikely Trace able to find an early goal immediately off the kickoff, and this could be a real chance for Trace to get his mentality back in the right place. Try and knock in a good number of goals against Thomas to reset the mentality a bit going into the next, because we actually don't know, well, we don't know yet, who's actually going to get to pick who the game mode that we play next. Obviously, game 4 in these playoffs is chosen by the losing team after the third game. So chances are that will probably be the High Kings, and they're going to have to choose between playing another ones game, which would likely be Knutha versus Mayday, or going for twos.
Yeah, I suppose we can see the massive skill gap, I suppose. Both SSL1 play in their own right, but Trace just that much better. And even from that first goal, it's a nice low flip reset just to hit it behind Tomster. But as you said, this is a perfect chance for Trace. This should be his third goal, and it is. This is going to be a perfect time for Trace to regain his confidence. Being 2100, almost 2202s, you don't really expect to be losing, to players of maybe Knutha and, low SSL type, level. But it's time for Trace to regain his confidence. And as you said, knocking a few goals. And at the moment, we haven't even reached 30 seconds. And Trace has already hit 3 goals in. He's on board to hit 10 plus goals more. And I think for Tomster, he knows that this is going to be quite the challenge. He's not going to knock his confidence too much. But beating a player like Tomster for Trace, I think it'll be a massive confidence booster for him. Beautiful breezy read there. Very nice. Got a lot of power off that one. Hits in his 4th goal.
I think it's easy to forget the sheer skill difference between high-level ones players. Tomster, SSL, the highest rank in the game, sort of percentile-wise, probably top 0.0 something percent. But if you compare him to Trace, he can't even compete, and that just shows how good that Trace is at ones to get into kind of the top 100 worldwide, as well as probably the best ones player in Ireland.
Yeah, and there you go. Once again, it is so effortless from Trace. It's going to be really hard to make a lot of points, of course, during this series. And I know it's a lot when casting before with Trace. There's just so little you can say about how good that he actually is. And he makes opponents, like you said, SSL players like Tomster, look like they are so much lower ranked. And they're on the same rank, but he's just so much higher in terms of MMR, almost 200, at any given point in the season higher than him, which of course is the difference of almost, 2 ranks in terms of normal ranks bar SSL. So it's going to be good for Tomster here, obviously for the experience, but they're putting their strongest foot forward here by putting Trace out. And as you said, he cannot play again, and it's going to be a win. It should be a win for Trace, but how they play after this is going to be another question. And will Tomster get his first goal? No, he will. The defense by Trace is just too good, but we're still not even, 3 minutes into this game, and Trace is just so dominant.
Tomster, I think he'll just be looking to try and keep the head and just try and maybe get a couple of goals to rattle Trace a little bit here. as he looks for a play there, going to take it over to the wall, and as he takes out Trace already off the ceiling, he just has such a good read of the game and is able to just pick out Thompson's plays before arguably Thompson's even thought of what he wants to do. It's now just 2 minutes in, 5-0 to Trace, and really Tomster, he is showing signs of life, but is he showing signs of a goal? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, Trace is going to play with him especially. Trace is going to enjoy this minute. He's going to use it to not only, make a show of himself and prove how good he is in this game, but also, get some time to mentally reset and think about the Tuesday game. And there we go. Tomster's first goal is in. Nice one by Trace in the chat. Great respect between the players. And here we go. It's the first goal for Tomster, almost halfway into the game, but well played here. A bit of a dive there by Trace, and obviously he can almost afford to do that. He's got quite the comfortable cushion, and even after that goal, he manages to maintain that cushion. But not even halfway done yet. Res and Trace has still much more to show.
Yeah, for sure. As we approach the halfway mark in this game, Thompson will win the kickoff. Trace able to touch it away. But now Trace putting a shot on. Can Thompson get back in time? No, he can't. And that's 6-1. The 5-goal lead has been reclaimed, and Trace is back to his usual business.
Yeah, absolutely. The 5-goal has been increased, and after this, I'm going to expect it to increase from then on in. When it comes to a player like Trace, we've seen him in a lot of competitions, especially like 12 Titans, he can be taken down, by a player of lower caliber. That does happen, in 1v1s, you could be SSL in some game modes and maybe not as good in 1v1, but Trace is just so dominant in so many fields, 2v2 and 1v1, and although his 2v3 rank, may not be as high, just doesn't play ranked like a lot of, pro players. We've seen him compete in the Wild series, caught quite high. Thompson here going for the low shot, and it's a great shot by him, actually. Good perception by him to see Trace on that left wall and 50 his way through. But even though Thompson here is a bit out of his depth, you can still showing his caliber, in terms of ones that if he would go off against somebody of his own level, he obviously has a much better chance. But we can see the kind of skill that he does have when he scores goals against Trace.
Sure, Tomster, he's put on a fairly good showing in this one, at least so far. You can't really expect him to get that much done against Trace. He's going to take up the ball and look for a little clip here. He's probably got the reset. Can look for the musty. It's come just off the bar. A fantastic effort. Almost gets one into the top of into the roof of the net. So now Trace turning around yet again. He's just got so much possession of the ball, Jacko, and Tomster struggling to really get any time to set up a play.
Yeah, there was an incredible speed on that musty flick. We've seen it in previous series where Trace, I think when he was playing, I think it was against Goldie or Jaffa back in week 2, the game was actually kept quite close. I think it was as well when he played against Reese. He can keep it quite close, but also then, once he gets his cushion, he does like to go, for his fancy plays, uses his arsenal of mechanics, and Thompson might slip this one in. Unfortunate, no boost to his name, but that shot was really unlucky, whereas the sheer power off of that musty flick to hit it off the crossbar. We're looking forward to seeing hopefully some more of them by him, but he seems to be winding down the clock quite a bit here. Both players probably just want to get stuck straight back in to this next series, but as you said, Thompson here, very impressive performance. Nice save there by Trace, but 1 minute left on the clock here, and it's been a commendable performance by Thompson. It's only a 4-goal gap. You could argue that Trace is maybe not, is trying as hard or is going for some very nice shots, but Thompson here is still playing quite well and proving why he is an SSL1 player in his right.
Certainly, the final 40 seconds of the game is kind of the opportunity to slow the series down a little bit, going into the next one, going into the rest of the series, and looking at the next one. We'll be seeing either ones or twos, and that'll be picked by the High Kings, which would be really interesting. I mean, they could go with ones, and you likely see Canutha versus Mayday, which would certainly be a very close series. But then on the other hand, you'd have, if they to choose twos, it could be Trace and Jao going up against Canutha and My Parable. So either way, I think the High Kings have quite a tough time for this next game as well, and they could find themselves going up against series point fairly early on in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the High Kings have to remember as well that they are playing with Parable, and nothing bad to say about Parable. Of course, he is that one tier lower, so they have to remember when they do pick things that maybe Tomster here might hit in another goal, and he does. Tomster's played really well here in this last half of the game, adding 2 more goals to his tally, and a 2-goal gap, against a player of Trace's caliber. Remember back in 12 times when I was playing against him, the gap was a lot more bigger than this, but Tomster is definitely keeping it close, and it's going to be quite a commendable performance by him to if we see another goal, possibly for either player, to keep it so close against a player of Trace's caliber. It's really impressive by Thompson. We've got to commend him for that.
Yeah, Thompson has put on a good show in the end as Trace looking to knock in a really nice goal at the death, and he has done so. 7-4, respectable scoreline. As we move on to game 4, the Celtic Tigers find themselves 2-1 up.
Yeah, what a goal by Trace. Absolutely beautiful by him here. GG's in the chat. Great respect between both players. Crediting all the nice shots in the game. And there was some very nice shots there, especially with Trace to finish that one off. And, here we go now, Res. It is judgment time for the High Kings. What do they want? What are we going to see? Is it going to be ones? Is it going to be twos? As we know, the question is being posed. But, of course, if it is ones, they cannot play Trace. They cannot play Tomster. Trace is out of the 1v1. He has gotten the win as expected, but of course, as I said, in the 2v2, it could be Trace, it could be Trace and Mayday, it could be Trace and Jo. Sorry, of course, Trace can play in that as well. But here we're going now for the High Kings. It's big time to pick for them, especially with the fact that they could be playing with My Parable, who arguably started quite, it was quite weak in the first part of the 3v3, but did eventually finish up quite well. So here we go now. It is a 1v1 for the High Kings, and we need to see now who is going to be played. We're going to presume on the Celtic Tigers side that it's going to be Mayday. It's Canusa against Mayday, just exactly like you said, Rez. And this is going to be a lot closer of a series than we see whenever Trace goes against any other player. Not Canusa quite. They both can play once, but it's not their strong suit of games. And here we go, Rez. Canusa and Mayday, just as you predicted. It's going to be good.
You may say that the High Kings had their hands tied a little bit when it came to picking between ones and twos for this. They've got their backs against the wall in either, but I think this is probably their best shot. Canutha, not necessarily known for his ones, but he certainly knows slouch at it. And then Mayday pulled off some very impressive results in a 1v1 scene in Ireland in the past, notably in 12 Titans and also in that season of RLIS. He did one. He won the deciding game to take down Spectre actually at the time to win it for the High Kings back then. But now he's on the Celtic Tigers and he's trying to get in the goal early against Canutha. And it's a tentative start from both players. No real opportunities yet, but now Canutha has possession of the ball, but the flick is poor, and Mayday able to easily touch that one onto his own bar. As Canutha setting up another shot. Mayday pinned on his goal line a little bit here, and he can't get a big clear. As Canutha going up on the back wall, looking for a Doomsy. But he's just forced away into the corner, and he's not really been able to get Mayday too panicked as of yet. But that was just wide of the post, Jacko, and Mayday clinging on for the time being.
It was like Canusa repeatedly going into both corners, taking both taking both boosts and trying to work a play. It will be a big demo there by Canusa. Well played by him. Will get the 100 boosts in the corner as Mayday did take his back right corner. But as you said, you expected this to be a level game, and so far it is. But Canusa seems to be quite offensive, so far here. Mayday little boost to his name, but Canusa had a lot of offensive pressure there and hitting it into each side. That's a miss by Mayday. Might be a capitalize for Canusa, unable to get back in time. Will he be able to follow it up? No, he won't. Rolled up the side bar, but here we go. Minute and a half played, Res. Still no goal for either side, and just as you said, it's going to be close.
Yeah, Mayday struggling a little bit with the speed of the game Canutha's playing at. As a couple of times Mayday's been caught off guard, and that's a really nice touch by Canutha, and he's going to open up the score sheet. And that's really, really nice. Just touching it past Mayday so he has no effect on the play.
Yeah, hitting it behind him, rolls it up perfectly into the middle for him. Very well played by Canusa. And as you said, both not big ones players, but obviously when you're at a 3s and 2s caliber level, they are still going to be quite good at ones. And you're seeing two players here who aren't big, massive ones players, but Canusa here, still great, perception by him just to hit it behind Mayday. The first goal has already come, but it's been quite slow so far. Big flick here by Canusa. Doesn't have time, going to take the boost again, but we're going to be interesting to see here how Mayday can return this and how he can answer back from Canusa's first goal.
Looking to try and set up another shot, but Mayday, he's kind of turned it round for himself here, and he's playing a little bit quicker now, as that's a mistake by Canutha mechanically, and Mayday has capitalised, and we're all tied up again.
Yeah, big slip up there by Canusa, just simply hit it into the middle. It was a great pass to Mayday. Sadly, against Mayday, he's not teaming with him here. It's going to be an open net for Mayday. He's going to be happy with that, and there's the answer back.
Watson back very swiftly, as now the situation is equalised, but Canutha's got a fairly good kickoff. as he may try to chase him down, but Mayday allowed to take it into his own corner, collect the boost, and maybe look for a flick using his, you know, typical, everyone knows the Mayday card, anodized with the data stream boost, as Canutha is going to find the back of the net to make it 2-1. And it was a really good demo to just take Mayday outplay.
Yeah, Mayday's been a bit awkward. There was some kind of, you know, backflipping looking for the half flip, but Canutha had the boost, gets the demo, gets his way through here, and, you know, quite unlike the previous game, we're almost reaching the halfway mark here, and there's only been 3 goals in the game, keeping it really close here, but especially we're yet to see, I suppose, a great solo play by Mayday, considering his first goal was a great pass by Canutha, but here we're going now, big demo by Mayday, well played by him, but we're looking forward to see a bit more back and forward action. I think now it's up to Mayday now to answer back and get that goal, but clock is ticking down slowly, and this might be another open net for Canutha, and it is.
Yeah, I thought Mayday was going to go for the air dribble bump just a moment ago, but Canutha just beats him to the ball, and it's kind of been a recurring theme in this game of ones, as now Canutha 2 goals to the good, and they may be able to tie up the series with this one as we go into game 5, which will be 3v3. There's 2 minutes left on the clock for Mayday, still plenty of time to make it back, but the delayed kicker from Canutha is perfect, and he's going to make it 4-1. And that's just really, really smart played by the Norwegian.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really smart. And, you know, we saw it earlier in shooting stars. So Zex will do it. You know, delayed kickoff. It's something you can't do all the time. But when you do it, you catch your opponent out. And it worked well for Knutson there. Very smart play. Showing some of his one's knowledge there inside his head. And there we go. It's 4-1. And Knutson is looking quite strong here.
Canutha looking good to try and take this one. But he's got more to do if he wants to confirm it. As Mayday making his way down the field, trying to get it done, but he's not able to get the Doomsday, and he's going to give Canutha a lot of space and a lot of time to go for a play here. Mayday diving in, but he's been beaten out by Canutha, and it just seems that anything that Mayday can do, Canutha can just get it over him.
Yeah, it was looking so close at the start, you know, it was 2-1 up until almost the halfway point, but since then, Canutha has really dominated the play. He's been catching Mayday out, but Mayday hasn't been having a great one series. It just seems like Canutha is playing really well.
Yeah, Canutha just seems to be able to have a good judge of when to speed the game up and when to slow it down. He's going to make it 6-1, and this game is slipping out of reach of Mayday as we go into the final 90 seconds, but it's going to be really, really tough to come back from this, and I'd almost say that it's done.
Yeah, it was a nice fake kickoff there by Canutha, you know. Once again, seeing working the kickoff play, we saw the delayed there, we saw the fake, worked it into his back right corner, got the boost, chased Mayday into there, and just hit it around him. Very smart play again. Once again, going for the delayed kickoff, does work in his favour, does not get the kind of position as he would. Maybe Canutha might score this here. Mayday does have the boost. It's a good save by him. Canutha will take that corner boost though, and as the clock does tick down, Res, you know, as you were saying, we could almost say this game is over, but you know, anything is possible in terms of 1v1. But Mayday here, his only goal has been from an open net pass by Canutha. We've yet to see any real dominance by him in the offense, and this should be another goal by him for Canutha here. Maybe takes his time, gets the boost, Mayday back in net. Nothing to come of this one, but it's definitely looking like it's going to be a series win for the Canutha.
Canutha running down the clock really nicely in this game, and he's been able to just... Oh, that's really, really nice play. I love that from Canutha. The obvious play there would just be to try and smash the ball into the top corner, but he knows that Mayday expects that, so just hitting it below him, that must be so frustrating for Mayday. And he's done beautifully to get the 7-1, and they are going to be tying the series up after the first 4 games.
Yeah, such smart play by Canutha. You know, it's almost hard to argue that he's not a big ones player after this. You know, it's such great, you know, awareness by him. As you sit there, expect him to hit it high. He doesn't. Hits it high here, Mayday with a good block. But Canutha's just playing so well. You know, he's doing things differently. He's baiting Mayday out. He's playing like a really, really good ones player. Goes for the corner pinch. No good for him here. Mayday on the play. Are we going to see his first play here? No, good defense by Canutha. There's going to be a lot of confidence here for the Hawking side here as we go in. Might be another goal here for Canutha, and it is. Hits into the right wall. Great shot by him.
Really nice game from Canutha. People don't really think of him as a 1v1 player, but he's really shown up when it mattered, and I would have probably said that had Mayday won this game, then this series would have slipped away from the Vikings, but they're right back in it now. They're going to tie things up at 2-2, going into another 3v3 game, and Jacko, they're really going to be hoping that they can put on a better showing than they did in the first game, where the Vikings, they just sort of looked a bit out of place.
Yeah, especially here when it comes Mayday. Oh, gets it in plenty of time for Mayday. Finally gets his gets his first actual goal in here. But nice, gets the boost, gets a nice bump. But as you said, we're working into the 3v3, and thinking about the first game, we saw quite dominant play by the Celtic Tigers, and now, of course, we're going to be seeing the reintroduction, of course, of my Parable, who we haven't seen since that first 3v3 game. As we're just going to wait here, as Trace does rejoin us, of course, but now he said we're going into 3v3. It's going to be looking good for the High Kings, I think. We're back here. We're back all level in terms of series points. We're back, 2-2. So it's going to be nice here for the High Kings after getting such a nice win in the 2v2, especially in the 1v1 right here. They're going to be going to be a lot more confident, but I suppose the person who's going to be, probably most worried is going to be my Parable, who hasn't played since that first game, and, who was looking a bit shaky.
Yeah, Parable. Obviously, he hasn't been playing in a couple of games with the 2v2 and the 1v1 games. So he's going to have a little break. Whether that's good or bad, who knows? But the High Kings, they've kind of set things up in the last couple of games, and they're going to be looking to try and continue the running now. As we go into threes with the Celtic Tigers now all tied up with the High Kings, with another game of 3v3 to decide who takes the lead going into Game 6 and Game 7.
Here we go, Res. It's a big game, especially for the High Kings after their unfortunate loss in the first game of the series. If they can get the win here, it's going to be a huge confidence boost to them. And correct me if I'm wrong here, but it should be 1v1. Again after this, if I'm not wrong. Or sorry, but anyway, it's going to be a good 3v3 here, and especially it's going to be a win for the High Kings. If they can get it, it'll be a massive confidence booster.
Jacko tried to move the play forward early on in this game, looking to get that decisive opening goal as the ball knocked down Trace. Taking it into his own corner, now up on the wall. Can he beat out Tomster? Yes, he will, and he's done well, but he doesn't have the boost ready to work with. Gonna have to try and 50-50 his way out of his own corner, but he's done well. Falls out to Mayday. That's now Trace holding onto the ball well as Tomster can get a clear eventually. As the ball's knocked into the midfield, is anyone there? No, only my Parable to get it clear. Knutha looking for the read, he will get the read, but it's just touched in the wrong direction with the shot from Tomster coming in. Mayday makes the save. As Parable now off the backboard looking for a second touch, but Mayday is there to get the read. Jacko now moving down the field, but he's made a slight mistake on that one, actually backflipping. As now Tomster, he's going to miss that one. There's a lot of work to do for Parable. He makes the save, but he's not able to follow it up, but Tomster can, and this could be an opportunity here for the High Kings. But my Parable up, he's got a shot, but the save comes through by Mayday. Tomster now slowing things down as Trace diving in. He's got the ball actually past there. Quite a number of the Celtic Tigers players there as Tomster. As Parable now putting the shot on net, but it's wide of the post. Tomster with a follow-up shot that's come back to Knutha, and they got the goal.
Yeah, the High Kings are looking really good in this game. It's a lot better than they did in that first series. They have 5 shots on the board, and it's a great follow by Knutha. Arguably a great pass by Tomster, maybe looking for the shot himself. Doesn't matter. They get that first goal. It's going to be a great momentum booster. They have so much offense, and Parable topping the leaderboard here for the High Kings. It's going to be a great confidence boost for him especially. And it's great to see the High Kings playing so well after that first 3v3 loss.
Is looking better from the High Kings early on. The Celtic Tigers, they have had a little bit of pressure, but they have been able to see it out for the most part. It's now Knutha in his own corner trying to get it clear. Mayday now with the follow-up. Could be a shot on as it bounces across the post, and it's going to go a little bit too far for a follow-up. But this could come back into the middle as Trace diving in. Can't get anything done. Knutha clears. And who is going to get the next touch first? It's going to be Mayday getting it back down the field. Trace with the follow-up, but he's actually made a mistouch on that. Tom's forced to make a save as Parable gets it clear, and they're going to need to follow this up with a couple more touches to really get out of danger.
Yeah, it's going really well for the High Kings, and they're just working so well together. They have a combined now 5 shots, and it's a lot better than we saw in the previous years. And Mayday here for the Celtic Tigers has 4 shots to his name. The Creative team getting a lot more offensive. Trace on the bottom of the leaderboard for that team. We're not seeing too much from him at the moment, and arguably, we could say he needs to step up for his team. But at the moment, the High Kings just seem to be playing so well together, and that's going to benefit them in the long run, especially if they end up winning this game.
Certainly, as the score is still 1-0. As Trace looking to try and change that, Thompson has to get a touch, and he can. As Jacko can put a touch in field towards Mayday. It's a little bit strong, but he does get a touch on it. As now Trace, he's made a misplay, and you've got to consider that in the first 3's game, Trace had already got 2 goals at this point. but that he just hasn't really shown that so far this game, and that could be the deciding factor that puts this into Vikings' favour. But he will get his goal now. The game is tied, and Trace has got him back on the score sheet.
Back in action, back with the motivation here, and a great pass here. Arguably a moment of ghosted there by the High Kings, but unfortunate. Jao, great pass and traced a great chop by him into that upper left corner. Unable, but for the High Kings to defend that one. But here we go, they answered back, and as you said, the Celtic Tigers in this first 3v3 series, you know, Trace with a lot more goals, a lot more offense by this time, but the High Kings are just playing that much better, and it's going to be unfortunate for the High Kings if they do not take this series, but the Celtic Tigers are coming in with a fight.
Celtic Tigers are not done with this series just yet. Trace in his own corner, got lots of boosts to work with, but he can't beat out Canutha, who's diving in at a fair rate of knots, and My Parable has really sped up the game in this. I've been really impressed with how he's really tried to just dive at the balls, and he's got a good number of touches from it. It's Jao trying to get out of his defense. He's been quiet so far, but he's looking to turn that around. As the ball is whipped clear, Trace follows up, and that's a big demo. My Parable alone on defense. Yes, he can get the touch, but the follow-up is there, and Jao gets the goal, and the Celtic Tigers are now ahead.
Yeah, it's a very well played demo there by Jao just to come back, but it was unlucky for Parable. The touch just went straight to Jao, who of course got the demo in the first place. So Jao, of course, what we forgot to mention, of course, hadn't played as well since the first game, so it's great to see him back in and better than ever, topping his leaderboard. A big demo and a big goal by him there to increase the Celtic Tigers lead by 1. And from being 1 goal down to now being 1 goal up, the Celtic Tigers have really brought this back together.
Jao really unpicking the defense just there as Tomster now desperately trying to get his team back level. Canutha pushing the ball forward, could be a follow-up shot from My Parable, but he's positioned slightly in the wrong place. As now Tomster, he can get a second touch, but he's used all of his boost to do it, and he's been beaten out. Parable, better positioning that time, but he can't get a follow-up touch. Now Canutha in his own corner, he's made a missed play, but it is going to bounce just over the net into safety. So they need to get this clear further, and as we approach the final 30 seconds, the High Kings need to do more. Mayday popping up, but it's been dunked by Tomster. A massive mistouch by Mayday has gifted Tomster the goal, and we're all tied up.
The Vikings needed something, and there it is. What a pop by Mayday, and Tomster with a huge follow. He's going to be delighted with that one, and there we go, Reds. We're back level once again. 22 seconds left, two spread all across the board here, and here we go. It's time now for the teams to win, especially time for the High Kings to recover from that first 3v3 loss and prove that they're in this to win it. What a shot there by Tomster.
Game tied as we're staring down the barrel of overtime. Tomster will try and get one last attack going before then, though, as he can get another touch, could get this one off the backboard. Is the follow-up there from Canutha? No, it's not, and that will hit the floor before going into the High Kings net. As we've got an overtime, the first of this series. Canutha going to put it into his own corner. Thompson now looking for a solo play. He has Jao up to contend with him, but Jao can't get a touch. Could be the follow-up. It's a flip reset, but the save is there by Trace. Ball into the middle. Mayday has to get there. He beats out My Parable on that one. Jao now moving down the field to pass across, but won't yield any results. Mayday, big bang down the field. It's going to be Thompson to get this, or My Parable, should I say. There's Trace. Now on the backboard, looking for a bump. Canutha gets it clear, only as far as Jao, though, as the ball comes back in. Lots of pressure here for the Celtic Tigers. But they're going to try and get the goal with 30 seconds into overtime now. My Parable getting that one clear. The hit comes in from Jao, but the clear is long. And Jacko, it seems, for the moment, the High Kings have relieved a little bit of this pressure.
However, an unbelievable goal by Tomster. If he got that in, it was a beautiful flip reset attempt. The High Kings need to make sure that they don't overcommit, especially the Celtic Tigers. We see them get demos from behind. And there we go, it's a double demo. Is it an open net for Mayday? No, it's not. We've got Canutha in the net. And the High Kings here are playing a lot better, especially considering how dominant the Celtic Tigers were in that last part of the half, bar that big dunk by Tomster. Looking for a big pass in there by Canutha. Tomster here looking to work a play. And it's a big miss. And it's a big miss by Tomster. That is an open net miss there by Tomster. There's a huge miss there by the Celtic Tigers. They're going to be kicking themselves for that one. And what a save by Canutha. Great reaction time by him to save Trace's shot. This game has got so intense in this overtime, Res.
This match, we've just seen two very good opportunities go by to really put their team in a good position for the remainder of this series. But the High Kings still need to get this one clear. The ball coming across, but it's a bit too heavy of a touch from Mayday. Trace can't get there. Now Tomster, no boost to work with. He's just trying to bump the players in front of him out of the way. And now it's given time for Canutha to follow that up. Jao, poor 50 from him. Actually a good 50 it turned out to be. I should eat my words with that one. As Mayday trying to get the ball into the infield to Trace. This series really, really hotting up as we go 2 minutes into overtime. Someone from the Celtic Tigers needs to get back. Mayday can't get there. Just about gets a touch. The shot from Canutha's wide. A huge opportunity goes begging for the High Kings as the Celtic Tigers hold on in this one. Theo knocking it infield towards Trace. It's going to come off the corner. Trace, well, not going to be able to get a read onto that one. Parable now into the corner. Only as far as Trace. This could be a solo play opportunity. Double off the backboard. Saved by Tomster. As this series so close at the moment. Coming across and Jacko. Such a tight moment there as I almost thought that Trace was going to clip on them.
Especially we saw the High Kings with such unbelievable pressure. There was a big miss by them not to win it. They've had so many chances to win this game, as well as the Celtic Tigers. Tom's here looking for a read, nobody in the middle. We're almost approaching 3 minutes here. Trace has 8 shots to his name and only 1 goal. We have 15 shots in the Celtic Tigers side, and it's a big miss by Mayday. It is a huge miss by the Celtic Tigers, and Mayday here has not been having too amazing of a series for himself here, but it's just too high. Can't reach it, and that is going to be huge for the High Kings. Res, almost 3 minutes into overtime. The Celtic Tigers had chances to win it, didn't take it, and it's a huge win here for the High Kings.
Mayday has completely bottled it on the biggest stage. I touched on it earlier that he was one of the most experienced players on this field, but you wouldn't have thought so from that. That's a huge mechanical error you wouldn't expect in this tier. And the pressure must have got to him, Jacko, because that has given the High Kings a 3-2 lead in this one. And now we're going over to 2v2. Trace and Jayo going up against Canutha and Parable.
Yeah, I think the big thing now, especially for the Celtic Tigers, is keeping the head. And of course now we've got the High Kings, on match point. And it's going to be Canutha and Parable. We're losing Tomster, but the thing about the Celtic Tigers is they're still keeping Trace in. He's in there, he's playing alongside Jayo, but that's a huge miss for the Celtic Tigers, and that win would have secured them, the opportunity to win this. But credit to the High Kings. They lost the first 3v2 series, they won the 2v2. They've done so well, and here we go now. We're going into the 2v2, and this could be the chance for the High Kings to win it.
High Kings have set themselves up for a really good finish to this series. Even if they don't win this twos game, we will have a 3v3 best of 7 grand finale. A really tight last game, 2.5 minutes into the overtime, and it ends in tragedy. But this is going to be an exciting game. The winner of this will decide whether the High Kings take it or whether the Celtic Tigers take us all the way to the game 7. Obviously, we had a Game 7 victory in the All-Star tier, just one tier below this earlier in the week. The Celtic Tigers looking to try and take us there, as they're trying to set themselves up for a good finish to this series.
Yeah, we're getting black screens, of course, the crucial glitch that we always seen, but just as we're waiting, of course, for everything to be sorted out, we've got to credit, how well both teams have played, but especially, the High Kings. I think, when you're playing against a team, of course, with the caliber of Trace, for example, and when the High Kings won that 2v2 so dominantly, it's a real big confidence booster, and winning the 3v3 now, especially, 3 minutes into overtime, that is huge by then. And we're going to 2v2 now, and as I said, it is a match point here for the High Kings. D-Lynch is going to be sitting on the edge of his chair up in Casa del D-Lynch, watching this, hoping that his team, the High Kings, can get this win right here.
Gonna be getting into this one. Canutha and My Parable looking to close this out for the High Kings. But Jayo and Trace, I'm sure, will have something to say about that. Game 6 of this best of 7 is really getting down to crunch time. As in 5 minutes we'll know whether we're going to the fabled land of Game 7 or whether the High Kings are our champions. A good kickoff for both sides as Jayo able to pick it up. Could look to try and rip off an early shot. He will, but Canutha makes the save. He's bumped his teammate out of the way while doing it. The shot by Trace, it was a little bit high, but he can follow it down and they've got the goal.
Yeah, Trace has his ability, to just read the ball. And, most people would see that and say, oh, there we go. But Trace, unbelievable read by him. Hits it behind Canutha, unable to read that one. And it's a good start here for the Celtic Tigers. Hopefully they'll manage to continue with this momentum. But it's still early on, only 9 seconds in.
Still plenty of time for the High Kings, but they have been rattled early on in this one. Knutha trying to get out of his own defense, but they've been locked in a little bit so far. As Parable, slight misplay, but he will recover with it. He left his teammate in a very awkward position for a second there. As Jo puts it into his own corner where Trace is. But Knutha is actually going to be the first player to get to that one as he 50s it across the field. Parable chasing this one down. He could go for a seeing shot here. He will. He'll get it down, but didn't have the flip to really get the power into it. It's Jo trying to get out of his own defense, but he's been dunked completely, and Trace is in a really awkward spot, but he can make the save. Another 50 goes begging, but Knutha can't quite find the goal.
Yeah, the Vikings here, you know, they're yet to score. And that's the big thing about their game. We know when they start scoring, especially we've seen it in the Thompson Knutha lineup, and the amount of goals that they scored. Parable and Knutha need to start linking up here. And of course, I said it earlier when it came to, you know, Gitsy playing in, subbing in, you know, Parable subbing in and playing with people that maybe he hasn't played too much before. I think he has subbed in before for the Vikings lineup, but he needs to make sure that he is linking up well here with Knutha. But so far, so good anyway. The goal by Trace was really nice, but it was of course quite hard to defend. It's a big flick here by Knutha, but the Vikings just need to get a goal on the board and regain some of that confidence.
Yeah, still plenty of time to get back into this one, but they are a bit suffocated on defense at the moment. Jo gets another good 50-50 to get back into it. Trace with a little bit of time to do his own thing in this corner, but good cut by Knutha is going to slow the play down. And now Tracy's put himself out of the play for a second here, and this could be a transition down to a bit of Vikings offense. But the touch is a little bit too heavy, and no one is able to follow it up. But that's a good bump by Parable. This could be an opportunity. Can Knutha get there first? No. Trace just about beats him out to it. No boost on the man from Norway. It's Trace moving down the field with no boost, but he's so good in these situations. He's a natural ones player. But he wasn't able to find anything on that occasion. Knutha on his own backboard. Loads of players starved for boost at the moment. All it seems except Parable, who's able to get a big hit down the field. Trace hits it off his own backboard. There could be a follow-up shot from Knutha, and it will go in. They've tied the game.
Perfect time to score. We're just nearing that halfway point, 15 seconds away, and it's a great follow-up by Knutha. Trace kind of throwing that in there. Jo unable to get to that in time, and it's well played by Knutha. This game is so close, Res, and you know we saw in the early TV2, Vikings ran away with it. Here the Vikings are answering back all level once again here, and still half the game to be played.
Knutha looking to try and get a shot. It's an awkward touch for Trace, and he's just found himself in lots of these awkward little situations. As Parable puts a shot on, that's a fantastic little floor pinch, and they've turned this game around in very quick succession.
Oh, there we go. Parable getting his name on the board. That's going to be a huge confidence booster for him. Nice 115 kilometers an hour. Great pinch by him. Trace not expecting that. 1 goal down to 1 goal up. The Vikings have answered back, and we're just reaching the halfway point here. Good possession here. Jay might snipe that. Trace might follow it up. Good clear here by Knutha. And the Vikings are looking good, Res. And all we have to do now is stick it out.
Good shooting in there by Parable, but it wasn't able to find the back of the net on that occasion. Parable looked really, really good in this 2 game so far, but he's got a bit of defense to do here. He does do well. Jo now waiting in the midfield, waiting for his opportunity to pounce, but he's been caught out a little bit by that rotation from his teammate Trace. But Trace able to get it clear on his own. 2 minutes to go as the Vikings hold the lead for the time being. They just need to keep the scoreline exactly as it is now if they want to win the Superstar tier and win the €200. But the shot comes in just over the bar. Is there a follow-up from Knutha? No, there isn't. Parable gets a touch, but he can't get it in. Now this could go down the other end. Trace a really good 50-50 to get it so far, but that's a poor touch by Parable. He's actually made a massive error there, but he's bailed out by his teammate. And the Vikings, they hold the lead for the time being, with Jo coming back at them now. The clock is ticking down, and with every passing attack, the chance of them making this comeback dwindles, but there is still time. There's plenty of time to get that one decisive goal as Knutha now looking for a play from his play of his own. A good bump by him as well will buy his teammate just a little bit of time. Parable gets the touch, could bounce down. Surely he can't score this. So close by the sub from All-Star. Now coming into the middle, Jo just about gets it clear, but there's a lot of pressure here for the Vikings. His teammate's gone for boost, and Knutha will put it in. The Vikings are staring down the barrel of winning this Superstar tier.
Yeah, going for a boost Trace, that is a huge error. I'm not even sure if the boost was there, but there we go. That is huge error by Trace, somebody of a caliber. 2100 twos player caught lacking going for a boost here. But Parable has been playing exceptional in this series. I think sometimes people fail to realize that, especially last season, Parable was near SSL in one of the players, very high GC3 and also really high GC2, GC3 player in the 2v2s. So you can see why he's playing just so well here. But the High Kings have stepped up massively. Parable here now, 1v1, passes to Canusa. What a play, what a save by Jo. This is unbelievable, whereas Parable here is playing so well. He's recovered his confidence. 1v1, Trace here, hits it over. What a save by Canusa. 30 seconds left, Res. 30 seconds left. D-Lynch watching this on, watching his High Kings, who could possibly win the Superstar division with only 20 seconds left to go.
The Celtic Tigers have to throw the kitchen sink at it now because they are running out of time. They need a goal immediately if they even want a chance. 2 goals in 10 seconds, it's almost insurmountable. As the High Kings look set to take this, Jo can't get there, and it's going to be 4-1. The High Kings have pulled off one of the biggest upsets in RLIS history to take the Superstar here, take the €195. What a performance!
At the big GGs in the chat from Trace, unbelievable, Res. Massive respect from all the players, but remember, oh, massive respect. Oh, it's unbelievable. You know, it's just unbelievable to see. You know, just to see it. You know, they were the odds-on favorite for last. You know, they started 1 for 8. You know, in the series, this is just unbelievable here by the High Kings, and we're gonna be getting some from some interviews, possibly maybe D-Lynch if he is around, of course, but it was just unbelievable there by the High Kings, and credit to my Parable stepping up, not winning All-Star, but at the end of the day, Res, he's going to be coming out of here with a beautiful Superstar Division winner tag on his profile. Big thanks as well from Tom Sir, really respect that, of course. Big thanks as well to John Ike, always, of course, has been helping us throughout in the background, but it's unbelievable, Res. You know, the High Kings, you know, we're worried at the start. You know, you look at the series, you look at the team. You know, we've seen Ghost play on that team, we've seen Parable play on that team, we've seen D Lynch play on that team. They finished, you know, the league play not even in terms of win for losses, nowhere near the points of a team like Celtic Tigers. But on the day they need to win it, they come out and they perform.
Absolutely sensational stuff. When the draft happened at the start of this season, everyone was saying that this High Kings team was the weakest, and those suspicions were affirmed early on. In the first 2 weeks of league play, they didn't win a single series. They were 0-6. They ended up 1-8 after 3 weeks, but they turned it around in the last 2 weeks with some really good performances later on. And then the playoffs really popping up against all odds, beating the Wolfhounds 4. That was an upset. And then in this final, taking down the Celtic Tigers, especially in those twos games, you never would have expected them to win. That is really, really special.
And here we go now, Rez. First person to join in, of course, we've got my Parable joining in. We've got Canusa joining in. Parable, I want to put my first question to you. You know, you stepped up. I'm pretty sure this was quite a last-minute decision for you to play, but you stepped up massively in those series. How does it feel, to come out in the end, coming up as a sub, especially to win the Superstar division?
Yeah, it feels great, man. You know, I'm sick as fuck right now, so I'm gonna leave the rest of the questions to Newton and Tomster. But I didn't have to do much, just looking at the Tomster, they carried the fuck, so.
Yeah, it was a really, really good showing by you. Tomster, I just want to touch on you. You put on some really good performances tonight, especially in that threes game, that game 5, where you really pulled out all the stops to get your team across the line. You've got the win in RLIS, and rumour has it you have got yourself on a very good team for the upcoming LAN. Do you really feel like you're setting yourself up to be one of the next really top tier players in RLI?
I don't know if I go that far now, but I'm doing my best anyway.
Yeah, a good start now, of course, to Canusa. We obviously saw in your 1v1, Canusa was quite the performance against Meta. We obviously spoke, we were saying that kind of before that we never associated you with being a big ones player. We saw a lot of smart decisions from you, you know. How did you feel during that ones game, obviously, and obviously you played a lot of the twos, especially you were in the 2v2 that beat, you know, Trace and Meta. You know, how are you feeling throughout the whole series?
Especially in that ones game, I was like on top of the moon. I recently went like pretty low in 1200, so it's good to get back in the groove.
D Lynch, I'm going to come to you last. You are the manager of this team, and at the start of the season, everyone was doubting your picks, especially in this superstar tier. People didn't think your teams would perform. And how does it feel to see your team come to fruition and get the win on the biggest stage?
It feels exceptional, Rez. It is just, it's an unbelievable, it's a fairy tale story. It's a bit like what happened in All Star with the Saints. It's just a fairy tale run. After week 2, I think it was, things weren't looking very well at all. I would have been happy enough if Boise even just made playoffs after that second week, but they've done me really proud, and they've taken the ball.
Congratulations to you, of course, Dylan. Of course, you won as well the Ascending Star tier as well, and that, so you bagged yourself 2 out of the 5 tiers as well. So adding Superstar to that, of course, adding the top division. And of course, congratulations, of course, to Canusa, to Parable, and of course to Thompson, of course, winning the prize money. And as you said, D. Lynch, of course, it was quite a fair tale run. And we know, especially before this, we were talking about how we weren't sure who was going to play, you know, who was going to show up. But of course, all of you showed up, and you showed a massive showing. So congratulations to you all.
Thanks.
And that is going to round up RLIS Season 6. A huge season, so many upsets. It's been an absolute thrill to keep up with. This season might be coming to an end, but we have plenty more exciting stuff to come. Make sure to look out for any future announcements, and also get yourself signed up to LAN, because those don't come around very often. I just want to say thanks to Jacko, to Morky as well for being on it tonight, as well as all the other casters that have been around. And a big thank you to John for organising, especially lots of the playoff games and streaming tonight. Thank you everyone very much for watching this season of RLIS, and good night.